Welcome to module number 6. This time we are dealing with the topic of death. I have entitled it Finding Grace in Movies. It is about grace because in the context of death, the only hope is salvation. Please begin by reading 1 Corinthians 15, the whole chapter. You click there and you have the chapter. It begins discussing the resurrection of Christ and how this is hope for the resurrection of the dead. And how everything is meaningless if Christ did not resurrect, because then there's no resurrection of anyone, of the dead. And we are all dying. The point is that there is resurrection because Christ indeed died, and indeed there is hope. The long chapter is worth its reading. Verse 58 concludes saying, "Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, stand firm. Let nothing move you. Always give yourselves fully to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain." And is not in vain because by faith we believe Jesus resurrected, and we and our loved ones and all those who have died that are holding Jesus as their Savior dearly, and all those that by grace God is saving, will resurrect. This idea of resurrection is the idea of redemption and the idea of grace. I want you to read the dialogue before you see the movie. There's some dialogue that goes on that is worth analyzing so you can be prepared when you see the movie. So go for it and read it. You have access to it. And then there's the poem by John Donne, a central piece of the whole movie is about this poem. And I have given you a link where you're going to listen to the poem as recited by the main character in the movie. And the words of the poem are there. So please read this, watch the sonnet by John Donne, and then go to Walmart and be prepared to pay the $5.91 to see the movie online. Remember, you're not buying a textbook, so these expenses are much less than the $100 or so that most textbooks in your other disciplines cost. So do I hear complaints? No, I hear not complaints. You do understand. This movie is very touching and moving. If you have not seen it, you will enjoy. If you have seen it before, see it again so you can reflect. The movie will then be analyzed with 700-word essay. And there are three specific questions that I want you to think about. What is the meaning of death? Remember, in the context of this movie and the Bible reading of 1 Corinthians 15. So you're seeing 1 Corinthians 15, the sonnet by John Donne of long time ago, and the movie of 2001. All these three you're going to put together, of course, with your opinions and your beliefs, but remember, always quoting from the Bible. What is the meaning of death? What is the meaning of life? In the movie, there were at least a couple of ways of defining life's purpose. Life purpose is knowledge to cure disease. Life is to seek meaning, defining sonnets. Meaning in a comma, life is to, you tell me. We are all dying. You are so concerned now of finishing your class and your requirements so you can graduate and feel good about finishing this task, which is, I applaud you. But we are all running towards death. Sooner or later, it will reach us. And I want you to pause. Take time. Look at the movie and think of your own mortality. Think about your future and the meaning of resurrection. And think about your faith. What does the Bible teach you as you face the choices brought to our attention in the movie Wit? The movie has several characters, and these characters represent different opinions about the meaning of life. Going back to 1 Corinthians 15, verse 55 asks a question. Paul writes down a question that is similar to the poem by John Donne. Where, O death, is your victory? Where, O death, is your sting? And this is in the context of resurrection. Do you believe in resurrection? Do you believe in the ministry of Jesus Christ and what he has done? The description here of a resurrection of the body is in direct dialogue with those that believe that when we die, we don't really die. It's only pretend. That is called dualism, the immortality of the soul. The Bible does not teach immortality of the soul. The Bible teaches resurrection. And if there's resurrection, it's because death is death. You are not conscious. You're resting. There's nothing in your memory. All has gone away while you are dead. And when you are resurrected, you're brought back to life. So there's no life in between dying and resurrection. Otherwise, it makes no sense to have resurrection. If when you die, you are better alive, more alive, freer, there's no sense in coming back to a body if the body is a trap. The resurrection is giving us the promise, and the promise of returning to a renewed body. We are physicalists in Seventh-day Adventism, which means we believe in the centrality of the body, and the body being one entity, no soul separated that lives outside of us. A soul living on its own. No, we do not believe that. And the importance of this idea is that we uplift the value of the body. We believe the body is to be taken care of, to be considered as sacred, to be abstained from pernicious foods and drinks and alcohol and other things that harm the body. Because the body, after all, will be resurrected. There's nothing wrong with the body as the body per se. The problem is with sin and death. As you consider this chapter, read it word by word. Once you have done these activities, of course, you will then go to the next step in your module number 6. And this will include submitting the reading. And here is the rubric that will be used for grading. And then you will do discussion board as the last step. Be sure to reflect on these Bible verses as well as on all your reading and movie watching. And that is module number 6. Thank you for your attention. God bless.